Absolute Sword Sense. By Hanjun Liulia. Chapter 5. Get back on my feet. I gingerly lifted my head. From among those kneeling and bowing, the man I had pointed out was looking at me with an incomprehensible expression. Still, I recognized this man, despite the others not noticing. Fourth Blood Star. There were around 11 people who led the blood cult. The fourth blood star was a person that fit his rank among the 7 blood stars. It was only natural for him to react like this since he was an existence that was difficult to know. Revealing his identity was a huge deal. Actually, this development shocked even me. This is crazy. I only said it out loud because of my fear, but he really did turn out to be the fourth blood star. Something I said desperately to save my life ended up bringing attention to the fourth blood star. I am an idiot. What would people think? They would definitely get suspicious of me. Well, this was my first time ever coming this close to meeting a blood star. The fourth blood star, Django. He was a person who has a reputation for his skills, not just in the blood cult but the entire unorthodox faction. Our fourth killing star has come here to this shabby place? The man who was this group's leader asked the fourth blood star. Leader O. Yes, please. I can't keep up with what was being said. The man slowly lowered his head with a contorted face, similar to a human being suppressed by fear. He then said, I apologize. Be faithful to your duties. With those words, Django walked toward me. Every step he took closer to me made me want to choke. It is frustrating. To be honest, I was afraid. Even in my previous life, when I was a spy for the blood cult, I never had this kind of anxiety rush through me. So, yes. I quickly shook my head and answered. Instinctively, I understood that my life or death will depend on how I spoke here. How did you find it out? Django was showing interest in me, who recognized his true identity. I spoke as calmly as I could in reply. The sword. Sword? The bundle of white threads hanging from it as well as the leather casing around it. Oh. You have sharp eyes. Django, the fourth blood star, spoke in a hoarse voice. The decoration around his sword was to commemorate his status and ranking. This was famously known within the blood cult. Interesting. I am more curious about you now. Thud. 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 That was the sound of my heart beating loudly. Who are you? As he went directly to the point, I became speechless and hesitated to answer. You can't seem to answer. Because I couldn't answer him straightly, the people around me looked ready to eat me up. The fourth blood star raised his hand, asking them to not get involved. The rules of our sect must have loosened. Since when did you people have the right to intervene when a blood star is speaking? The men trembled at those words. The existence of a blood star was enough to make the people of blood cult shudder in fear. Disciple. Don't be shy and tell me. Phew, 7 sit for latest novels. There was nothing else to be said. If I said anything wrong, I would either die or get taken away by them. If that was going to happen, I'd rather use my hands to change the situation in my favor. So I lifted my head and spoke with confidence. I have inherited the blood of a blood cult member. A blood cult member? Django's eyes widened with a look of suspicion. Huh. The others also had expressionless faces. If I lost my nerve here, I would lose everything. I spent over 7 years of my life as a spy. If it was a lie, I was confident I could say it without wavering. The Yangso family is a prestigious sect and family. If I can I get back the short sword which is my mother's keepsake? Keepsake? I lifted my head and pointed to the short sword that Leader O was holding onto. Leader O clearly didn't like this as this was the dagger that had killed 2 of his men. Wordlessly, Django held out his hand. Lord. No matter what, this is the dagger which. I won't say it twice, Leader O. Why yes. Without any more resistance, he handed over the dagger. SRNG. Taking the short sword, Django checked the rusted blade and then smiled. He then pushed the dagger's tip between his index and middle finger. Crack. The tip of the short sword was broken. It was rusted all over, so breaking it with just his fingers shouldn't be too shocking. Django smiled and said, "This is the price to pay for the short sword which had taken our members' blood. We must take good care of precious things." Pack. A flick of his hand made the dagger penetrate the ground. What amazing power. I could feel goosebumps rise on my body. It wasn't that the power he is showing is amazing, but it was because he is warning me with a smile. This man was a terrifying person. At the place where the masked men stopped coming after me, the fourth blood star, Django, gave separate orders for his men. Send someone back to Yulong County in Yiyang City and investigate the maternal side of Wenhui and keep an eye on him. Yes. Leader O did not like Django's decision to spare me and smiled creepily. This was expected. The blood cult wasn't made up of stupid people. I didn't think they would trust me right away. They are suspicious of me. The eyes of the masked people had disbelief in it. They were keeping an eye on me. That one. The wagon I had to ride was a wagon with the other kidnapped boys and girls. It looked like an ordinary wagon but was blocked with iron bars inside so people couldn't escape. Even if people entered it voluntarily, they wouldn't be able to escape. Should I just think myself lucky enough to still be alive? Get in. The masked man pushed me into the wagon. Don't stir up shit and stay quiet. I nodded. Compared to my previous life, this felt fine. This time, I wasn't tied up and thrown in like trash. But well. There were Song Juabek and Song Wuhyun in the wagon. The self-proclaimed Honam's twin swift blades were both tied up and groaned. It isn't like they had their mouths shut, but it was because they had their blood points sealed. This made it impossible for them to speak. The two who saw me tried to shout. Unlike the twins, the others in the wagon didn't have many obvious restraints. Even if we seal their blood points, they are still filthy. A masked man showed annoyance at the two. If the blood points were fully sealed, they would faint. When they did faint, the masked man walked away with satisfaction. He then locked the door from outside the wagon before it began moving shortly after. Clack. Clack. I sat in the corner of the wagon and sighed. In addition to the unconscious twins, the other kidnapped boys and girls were shivering in fear. It was strange to be calm in this situation. Shoo. I pulled out the short sword wrapped in a cloth to my arms. Still, I was able to take back my mother's keepsake. After removing the cloth, I grabbed the short sword, and a scream greeted me. Quack! And I covered it with cloth again. The small short sword was screaming at me. My head. Give me my head back. It must be in shock as its tip was broken. I could understand the pain, but it was too loud. Please be quiet. It isn't like you have been completely broken. As it heard my words, it replied in a monotone voice. If I shave all the hair on your head, would you say the same thing?